Buongiorno, my name is Claudia Sangiorgi Dalimore, and normally I'm behind the camera directing music video clips. Today I'm here on the couch hosting Rage, and I'll be playing a whole bunch of clips that I've made, clips that I love, and telling you a whole bunch of stories. So let's get started. The first video I'm going to play is Praise You by Fatboy Slim. I just worked out this was made when I was around the age of 12, and I think for me to have chosen it means that somewhere in there it really seeped into my imagination and made a huge impact on me as a child. And it makes a lot of sense because it speaks to everything that I love. It was DIY, it was off the cuff, it was made by Spike Jonze, who's brilliant. And essentially it's a flash mob. They didn't ask permission, they just went down there, filmed it and created this fake dance company. And I don't know, it makes everything that I love, which is the simplicity, music responding in the form of video, and that's the beauty of what a video clip is. So here it is, enjoy. This next clip is Around the World by Daft Punk, directed by Michel Gondry, who's a brilliant genius and I admire so much of his work. I think the thing that stands out for me in this whole clip is the way the movement responds to the sound. So each one of the character groups, be it like the swimming girls or the guys, the tall guys, they all dance out or represent a different part of the song. And of course, as a dancer and all the things I love about how those worlds intersect, it's just perfect and complete. I also love things that are based in the one-shot world, the simplicity of this kind of set. The set comes alive, the action happens, and we close down. We don't need to kind of go into any other spaces. I read that it was the mother of his son that made the costumes and his brother that did the lighting. And I think for me, that also really resonated because it was a family thing that's now gone on to become this like world famous, beautiful masterpiece, but started off in kind of something that would have been done in a camaraderie sense, like you come to this, you help me do that, and let's just like go with my mad idea. And I guess I can relate to that in the many times I would call up my own family to be like, hey, I need you to load a truck with chairs at 3 a.m. and we've got to go down to the street and build a sculpture, and no one asked me why, they just arrived. So I imagine Michel and his family sort of bunkering around each other to do that too. Here's the clip, enjoy. The next clip that I wanted to play for you was Born Free by MIA. The reason I can't play it on Rage is because it's rated R, and it's rated R for a very good reason. And this clip always stops me in my tracks. It's a 9-minute short film, and I love everything MIA makes, and I think it was a beautiful reminder when it came out that art and politics and human rights and activism all sits in a beautiful place together, and that sometimes songs can be used as catalysts for bigger, deeper messages that are important. The clip is very much about ethnic cleansing and genocide. I highly recommend you go check it out. It's available only online. She gave me some sort of internal permission that perhaps some of my work didn't always need to be about pretty things and didn't need to be about selling something and didn't always need to be about exactly what the song was written about by the artist, and sort of expanded my world a little bit to deeper meanings, what else exists outside of, the standard media rollout or briefs that we're given to make clips. So as a tribute to MIA and how much I love her work, I'm going to play Bad Girls instead. Enjoy. The next video I want to play for you is Gautier, somebody that I used to know. For me, this is the video. As in, when I get sent an email and requested to come up with an idea, this is the reference. It's timeless, classic, one of a kind, magic. Can you make us something like this? And gosh, every time I think, I hope so. It's a beautiful combination of everything coming together in sort of the way I think a music video clip can also elevate a song and take it on a whole new trajectory. It had that magic to me. So deep respect to Natasha Pincus, the director, and to Gautier and Kimbra, because physically, having done body art myself, that's a really tricky thing that they endured, to stand still and stand naked next to one another. It makes sense to me why they were able to draw on such deep emotion just by the physical intensity it would have taken to actually create it. So I imagine the process of that video would have really had a lot to do with what that little bit of magic that maybe none of us can really name, but we know that is there. So hope you enjoy a beautiful classic. I love this next clip, and it's Blaze Territory. I think when I saw it, I was like, yes, men hugging, men crying, family, tender moments. And it's filmed in Algeria, and it's a self-directed clip by The Blaze. And it just spoke to me in that way too, where I think I'm so fond of when there's culture on screen and it feels like real life, or it is real life, but just like with a little heightened, elevative moment to it. It's gorgeous. So here it is. We're going to throw next to Jamie XX Gosh. The beautiful thing about this clip is it looks like we're in Paris and we're not, we're in China. And so, of course, within that strange construct, I'm like, it would have felt something to be on this set. And I think that informs the intensity of how this video comes out, because it's in a fake altered reality of something that we know very well. So I just think there's so much nuance within it all. The other thing that really stands out to me in this clip is possibly the subconscious reference to Busby Berkeley, a brilliant filmmaker that was very famous for making geometrical patterns with lots of bodies and old musicals. And I have the feeling that whether we know it or not, all of that filmmaking that he did has informed all this other stuff that's come after. I'd be so interested to know if there is a reference, and maybe there's not. And sometimes I feel like the beauty of film is that we just collect things on a subconscious and pop it out another way. And that's why so many of us make work that could be similar or could have been made by a few of the same people, because we're all kind of drawing from the same inspirations. Here's the clip. The next clip I'm going to play is 4 Became 3 by Missy Higgins. This was the 4th clip in the collaboration process that we did for her entire album last year. And for me, it was like a beautiful bow on top of everything we'd done collectively together. As a filmmaker, I also just wanted to pay homage to some of the early clips that she'd done. So putting little Easter eggs like the car from Steer, the piano from Scar, all those sort of things brought it into a world that had more meaning for me. And at the end of it all, we were kind of going to burn that all down, and was a little bit about letting go. And I wanted to have Missy in with me today, but she couldn't be here. But she zoomed herself in.
Hi. I was getting really hot behind that cushion. Thanks for taking me out.
I guess I just wanted to chat to you. That was a really cathartic process that we went through, and fun and physical, and what it was like to be in the paddock burning things and throwing things. And another beautiful part of this clip was that it wasn't meant to be a single in itself, or it wasn't like a highlight track, but it ended up being a song that really touched me when I heard the whole album, and I was really grateful I got to turn it into a video clip.
Yeah, it was really cathartic. It was beautiful. We got to run through the forest with a whole lot of amazing women and scream and hit things and, yeah, get some demons off our chest. And then, yeah, burning all this stuff in the fire, it was a real release. And then, yeah, overlaying the track to it just made it so sad in the most beautiful, just made my body really vibrate when I first saw it for the first time. I was like, oh my God, this is full on. This is really intense and powerful. And yeah, it was amazing how it all came together.
Yeah, it felt like that for me. I mean, that body feeling that you're talking about that's how sad I felt the song the first time I ever heard it. I was like, how do we bring that? So it's beautiful that it did all translate in the end.
Yeah, I think it's one of the saddest songs I've ever written. I almost laughed when I wrote that chorus because I was like, oh my god, I've taken my sadness to a whole new level. But yeah, there's something very cathartic about writing something like that. And then I think that you made the perfect clip to match it. So yeah, I was super happy with how this ended up. Shall we play it?
Yes.
For everyone?
Yep.
All right, this is 4 Became 3 by Missy Higgins.
The next video I want to intro is Kaiit, Miss Shiny, and I've called her in. Here's the beautiful Kaiit, a dear friend of mine, to chat about this one. And this is fun for me as I was texting you this morning and remembering everything in how it all came to be. We had completed making 3 other videos, the last one being OG Love Kush Part 2. And I was overseas, and in the middle of the night, my phone was just going off, bling, bling, bling. And that video was getting reshared. And I remember texting Kaiit and saying, what is going on? Why is OG Love Kush, what's happening with it? And I guess I'd love you to share sort of what that moment was.
It was absolutely crazy. The exact same thing was happening for me too. I woke up in the middle of the night, I was looking at my phone and people kept writing, Jilly sent me here, Jill sent me here, thank you, Jill. I'm like, who's Jill? And turns out, yeah, Mama Jill Scott shared OG Love Kush Part 2, the video, and said it was about that time her and Erica Badu came down to so-called Australia and had their little love child, which apparently me. So that was crazy, Claudia.
It really was. And I think as a result of that moment, when Miss Shiny came up, which was the next single, I was like, okay, cool. So now I feel like the world is watching and the stakes have gone higher and we have to elevate. And of course, for someone like me who I was in deep burnout and way too busy and probably couldn't fit another clip in. So I was like, let's just do something crazy. Let's just do the craziest shit you can think of. Okay, cool. What am I going to do? I'm going to build a couch sculpture. Yep, we're going to put 40 couches in the middle of a street, no permit, on top of each other, and everyone's going to get on that. Yeah, that's a good idea. And I think I just went really supersize and wild with it from an art perspective. And that was the most, I don't know, it was the way I was able to arise to the occasion in bringing all my love of the arts together. And I feel like the way I translated that idea to all of you was sending it automatic, but it was so abstract. So I don't know what memory you have of shoot day.
I just remember just pure joy and fun and just knowing that everything is going to be okay. I feel like that's literally a reflection of the song as well. It was something I wrote to be like, everything's going to be okay. But yeah, absolutely. That thing was crazy, that shoot. That was an OHS nightmare. But we made it work, and we also, I just felt so safe in all of the craziness. So it was so much fun. And for me, something really special about our clips, especially Miss Shiny, is the community and the crew that we had in there. That's what I remember. And I didn't realize how important or extra important these videos would be as well, with the types of people until they were gone as well. We literally have these embodiments of incredible footage, the highest quality possible, and the most beautiful piece of art ever. And I'm so thankful, Claudia. You're so incredible. You're so talented. You're so clever. You're so smart. It's wild how this woman's brain moves. For real, I'm so thankful to look into it.
Without further ado, we're going to throw to Kaiit, Miss Shiny. Next clip we're going to play is Bjork, Oh So Quiet. Bjork, what an icon. For me, she's like a fairy godmother in my consciousness, as in She's an artist that gives so many other people permission to do what they do. And I love her whole catalogue, but this clip particularly stands out for me, obviously because it's dance and it's got a beautiful colour palette, and she gets in a crane at the end and goes up into the sky. And I love that there's a little twist, because although the whole thing has twists, that little tiny that happens definitely draws us all in. So here's the clip. Thank you, beautiful people, for sticking it out with me here on Rage. I will be back tonight for round 2. I'll see you then. Hey, my name's Claudia Sangiorgi Dalimore. Normally I'm on the other side of the camera directing music video clips. Today the Rage crew have pulled me out onto the couch and I'll be programming clips of my own, clips that I love. So go grab yourself a cup of tea, maybe grab some popcorn and get comfy. Let's get started. My mum was a belly dancer, so I grew up dancing from a very young age and performing and being on stage. So dance was just always a part of my life. I actually still teach dance classes now. And I think I was around the age of 20 and I made a little personal pact with myself that was like, as you develop your portfolio or you go on to create things, like, it's my mission to bring dance to screen in this country. And I'm sure I forgot that pact along the way, but there was a point where I did remember it, and I turned around, looked at my folio and went, I did it just because I love it. And I love seeing dance become part of narratives. Clips like Sia's Chandelier just spoke to me so much, in that I feel like she reminded the world that dance can be narrative and we don't have to get stuck in words and meanings that we're always seeing. It can be far more abstract. Things like Kylie Minogue's Slow, I have such vivid memories of like that top-down shot of everyone pulsating, and I'm sure that seeped into my imagination and I stored it in there. You have videos like Jungle, Back on 74, to which I'm more grateful in the way that a video like that is made. There's a choreography, there's a set of dancers, and then the whole world responds by also dancing and learning that dance. And of course, the more dance, the better. I'm going to play these for you now. The next song I want to play is by Angie McMahon, and it's called Exploding. For me, this whole album that she wrote, it was like reading her diary. And it was so deeply personal, yet just felt like a songs for the people. And watching it come out and touch so many people around the world, and people getting tattoos of her lyrics and really just deeply connecting. Exploding as a song on the album was the one that stood out to me in terms of the way it just held me. And it held me in such a time of my life full of grief. And I would pump this song so loud and just feel that energy within my heart and know that I'm held and know that it was okay wherever I was. And it gave me more than hope. It filled me with life. And I think that doesn't always happen with music. And when it does, it's magic, and the true power of the capacity for music to heal and connect and be part of our lives is ever present. So I'm so grateful to Angie, and please enjoy this song. Amyl and the Sniffers and Amy Taylor, like, shut the front door. For me, Amy is just so iconic, and I'm so kind of proud that she's alive and doing what she's doing just by being who she is. Like, what a trailblazing rock star. This clip came out, and of course, I was like, I wish I'd made that. Which for me is like the telltale sign of what is a good video. Some sense of like jealousy, and that far out, that would have been beautiful to make and have that idea and execute it like that. So it's just stunning. I think watching Stephen Ogg, the actor, up against Amy, and their intensity matching each other, but also Amy being able to sit slightly in front, like watching that play happen was just so beautiful and so complete in terms of like good filmmaking. Big shout out to John Angus Stewart, the director, who I know has had a long-standing relationship with the band, and therefore I can imagine within that gets to play every time. So by having that kind of relationship, and I can relate to a lot in my own work, it means that you're building that safety and trust, so the work you tend to get to make is much better as a result, because you're not having to break through learning people and understanding how it all works and how to be together. So I feel like for me, the trust that would exist within them, that space really comes out on screen. So without further ado, I am presenting to you You Should Not Be Doing That by Amel and the Sniffers. My name is Claudia Sangiorgi Dalimore, and you're hanging out with me here on Rage. The next clip I want to play for you is Big God by Florence and the Machine. And I remember seeing this clip and just being like, yes. It just has this raw emotional intensity. And these women just embodying sexiness and prowess in a way that we don't usually see. Florence is an absolute boss, so it just spoke to me on every level that I love. So enjoy this beautiful femininity. I was over in Perth Festival watching Moju perform. It was just a beautiful gig outdoors, and this song came on, Native Tongue, and I hadn't heard it, and that was interesting because I had heard so many other songs off the forthcoming album, and as soon as they started playing, it was just them cueing the sound on stage alone, and I was like, this is the thing I want to make a clip for. And I didn't really know why, but it was a big calling for me in that it was important and it needed to happen. And my friend Josh Bond, who was the manager of Chukimala, the dancers in the video, was actually standing next to me in the audience, and Chukimala dances to my other side. And I remember in that moment just turning to them going, are you going to be in Victoria? You all have to be in this thing. I have no idea what we're making. I just know that it has to happen. And it did. And it's a clip that I think really changed the trajectory of Moju's career, which is such a blessing for a filmmaker to be able to be part of something like that. It doesn't always happen. It was like wildfire when it came out. And it was made in such a fast but organic way. And so I was so happy that that's also how it was received. We did a classic thing where you drive out, look for a location. I'm like, I think it's just a paddock at sundown. That could be anywhere, any paddock. So we go on the mission, we're driving around, we're looking. We spot the perfect paddock. I'm like, there's gates. How are we getting in there? Cool, we can't get in there. We end up meeting some farmers. They tell us we can have a paddock. It's all chill. Come back in a few days to film. We get there filming day. Sun is going down. And they take us to the paddock, and the paddock has trees all over it. And I'm like, ooh, I don't think they got the brief. And time is ticking. Another fella that was, I think, either associated to that farm was like, don't worry, come with me. I've got access to some places. I think this will be right. We end up, as sun is coming down, a DOP is on their way driving to this random location that we have not really found yet. So it's all that beautiful, amazing race energy. That person drives us to the first perfect hill that Moju and I had spotted and been like, there's no way we'll get that. It's behind gates. And so I think in that moment I was like, this is one of those creative forces where it's all just meant to be. As it is, as it happened, it was perfect. The beautiful part of this clip is also that it went on to have a life outside of just being online, and I have vivid memories of standing at Wom Adelaide again, watching Moju, and it was such a full circle completion of the process. And Native Tongue starts, and this time the Jukimalas are on stage and the clip is being performed live. And the sound of the audience and the squeal that was happening in the excitement of it happening in front of people in real time meant you couldn't even hear the song. And I think there's the reward for that is something I can't put a price on. It's such a beautiful process that I feel so blessed to have been a part of and also be able to help facilitate. So this is Mojo Juju, Native Tongue. The song Faces by Holy Holy landed in my inbox, and I remember my first question, like it always is, being, what's the song about? And I was sent a breakdown of the lyrics and the meanings, and for me it felt complex, intricate, deep, worldly. It was like each line had so much attached to it, and so with that, I kept thinking, I don't feel like I can respond to this in the same way I usually would, like go away, write my treatment, send you the idea. And I was struggling a lot with that. I ended up on a telephone call with Tim, the lead singer, and I was like, I'm actually overseas at the moment, but I am going to New York, and there's a brilliant friend of mine there named Ika Darvel. He's an actor. I feel like I could do something with him and a bunch of other people in the streets. And it was that loose that they just said, sounds great, go and do what you want. And I arrived to New York and knew that all of these themes and things that I had felt in response to reading what the song was about and hearing it, I could only interpret that through my body, which again just made so much sense that that's what I was going to do. So I ended up putting up a casting call for the people that ended up in the video, and the beautiful woman who ended up lying down in the gutter in the streets of Brooklyn for me was so willing and there for it, and she never asked me why, and it was such a beautiful exchange in, I guess, like true art making for me. It's those moments where I really see that I come from the art. I don't come from film and always needing to know why. I'm just following that feeling. It was quite a chaotic clip to make in the way that budget was so low in terms of being able to have, a unit or a crew accessible and move things around, that we had one vehicle that would transport the camera, the cast, and the very few crew members I was able to find, and not me. So I ended up on my own walking in the summer rain of New York all around the streets of Brooklyn to the different areas where we filmed. And I think that was a really freeing experience, which then helped me encourage everyone who was going to essentially dance or move on screen, just tap into that. And tap into the feeling of being on the streets in New York, which is quite a feeling. So here it is. Faces by Holy Holy. The next clip I want to play to you is Eka Vandal, Bleed But Never Die. Eka's a dear friend of mine, and I think one of the things I love about this video is that it's self-directed. So it's Eka and her partner Richie, and I know the chaos and DIY way that they attack this, and it's just such high quality, beautiful visuals. She is the artist for me to watch this year. If you're going to pay attention to anyone's album as it drops, like that is the one. It's so exciting, the music and movement that she is making, and I just love her artistry as a whole. Always inspires me. Here's to the clip. Enjoy. Next, I'm going to throw to Hiatus Coyote, Get Sun, and a dear friend of mine, Grey Ghost, made this. And I've worked with Hiatus quite a lot, and they're such a brilliant collective of minds. And I remember Grey Ghost telling me the process in coming up with this was like, got the band together, sat around the table, and they were just there just spitballing ideas, and he's just frantically writing, like everything that could happen. Like, yep, and then you're going to hold this object and we're going to fly to the moon and this other little thing's going to be there. And he took all of that away and crafted this beautiful treatment and presented it back to them. And they were like, yes, that's exactly what we wanted. And it just made this beautiful, abstract, totally zany, colourful out there moment. And I love that all of like Napalm's intricacies with trinkets and colourings and set design is in there, and Perrin and the rest of the crew, like all of their little nuance of imagination is in there. It's sort of like this plethora for everyone. And I love how creative this band is and how creative Grey Ghost is. So huge fan of it all, and I hope you enjoy. The next person I'd love to bring to the couch is Sarah Chin.
Hey.
Hi, darling. Sarah and I met when we were making Thelma Plum's campaign for the album Better in Black, and so we had a long-standing friendship and relationship from doing all those videos. And I remember the day I just got this very casual text message. It was just like, hey, Cloudy, what are you up to at the moment? And I would have replied like, busy but have time, standard. And from there on, we ended up on a call. And this was all how the Genesis Owusu Stay Blessed video came to be. So maybe you can share a bit more light about that.
Well, Genesis Owusu had a very specific and rather simple idea where he would start the video off on his own, but then there's a particular lyric in the song where it sort of refers to having to deal with more of his type. And that's where he wanted to have a whole bunch of like lookalikes come out. Now, when I say lookalikes, not specifically exactly like Genesis Owusu, but similar vein, i.e. shaved head and a red stripe down the head. So I call Cloudy because there's absolutely no one else I can trust with this vision. There's only one person in this world that I would trust to command the chaos that entails shooting something in some ways very much orchestrated, but we wanted to really invite fans to be part of it. And, we just asked that they learn a certain part of the song and were prepared to shave their head and spend the day with us. So there was only one option, and that was to convince Cloudy to jump on the crazy train and command the chaos that ensued. And it was such a special day. It was absolutely electric, and it was one of my favourite filming experiences with Claudia, and it still stands as one of my favourite videos of all time.
I think also from the moment you called me, I just went on the mission of like, yes, this is going to happen. I claim that I actually never even told you yes. I just called my beautiful producers at Porkstall Productions. It was like, do you want to do this? They pressed go, and you had just asked me for 10 roaches to be in it. And of course I went, no, let's supersize this. Let's get 100, because I was like, if it's going to be chaos, we may as well go for it. And it was all pulled together within 7 days, and such a beautiful on-set kind of magic that happened. And I have clear memory of me with everyone watching and waiting for the next command of, the director, what are we going to do? And someone going, just wondering what's happening. And I was like, I'm not sure. Genuinely, like, I'm just actually working that out in real time with you all. And I think it's one of the most honest spaces I've been. And that would have been a lot because I knew I had so much trust and backing from you, Chinny, that you knew we'd be able to do it. And we just kind of had to work with it in the moment and find our place. And for me, Genesis Owusu is such an enigmatic, powerful performer, which makes my job so much easier. Like, there is watching him and Jessie Goya-Fleet, the DOP, start to have this dance with each other. I was like, when that came alive, we were in business. So it's a beautiful clip. I'm so glad I got to make it, and so glad that it ended up being able to be part of a live show moment where he invited a bunch of roaches up on stage to sort of act out that same thing live. Here's the clip, Stay Blessed by Genesis Owusu. The next couple videos I'm going to play for you, I absolutely love. The first is Little Simz Gorilla, which I wish I'd made. When it first came out, everyone kept sending me the clip going, this is kind of like your work. And I was like, that is one hell of a compliment, because if I could get into that space to be able to do that, I'd be a very happy human. It's just beautiful from a colour perspective, from a cinematography perspective, and also just essentially Little Simz is just an absolute badass boss. So why wouldn't we love it? The other is Doechii, Denali is a River, and I can firmly say I'm so happy to be alive in the Doechii era. I think anything that she touches, the same as a Kendrick, the same as a Childish Gambino, it's going to be magic. So I'm so here for it and here for more. This is one of the wildest videos I've ever made, in the process being wild. It's Emily Wurramara, Lordy Lordy. Emma had sent me the song, and I remember listening to it, and the gravity of the meaning of this song in both Emily and Tasman Keith's lyrics felt not heavy to me in a negative way, but in like a broad, this is important. What am I doing with this? And it was very evident. I was like, this is not my story. This is not what I, second nature, know about. And it was like the spirit of the song and the spirit of Emily and the spirit of her family and the spirit of her country. And I took that and was like, I'm just going to make a whole lot of imagery that feels like that spirit. Like if I was to put that into a flat form, this is sort of what it might look like. And so it took us on a journey, and us being me and Michael Hales, my DOP, who was my absolute like second in command, could not have done it without him. He just dug deep with me. I was like, let's go to Darwin. That's where Em's family is, and I just knew it had to be filmed there. And we went up. We did location wrecking for a few days to sort of find spots that we liked, and we committed to this idea that we're here, let's just get lots of sunsets and lots of sundowns, like beautiful light. So we sort of shot the clip, I think, over about 4 to 5 days trying to capture golden light. Within that, we also stayed up for 40 hours in one of those days because the beautiful dancer, Jamin, that came over from Cairns could only be flown in at a 2 a.m. flight and be flown out at 11 a.m. that day. So in order to film him and catch a light, we were just like, right, this is it. We're awake. He arrived to the studio. We shot his studio scenes. We slept for 30 minutes, got up when it caught a sunset, did as much as we could with him, and then put him on a plane. The whole video, when the way it all came together, came like that. I would get texts from Em going, like, just confirming we're going to have 20 of the family come down to this spot. Next minute, she's like, hey, sis, just my 2 cousins are going to be there. And so things were just moving and changing. And I was responding with it. And again, I just thought, it doesn't matter. It's all going to be beautiful. It's all going to be what it's meant to be. And as long as Emily feels good and her family is around her while we make this, nothing can go wrong. And for me, that's really what happened as we filmed it. It's such beautiful country up there, and I'm so grateful that we did get to film there. So this is Lordy Lordy by Emily Wurramara featuring Tasman Keith. The next clip I want to play for you is Thelma Plum's Clumsy Love. The beautiful part about this clip was so much more about the process rather than the outcome. Although the outcome I feel is still beautiful. Thelma and her team had reached out to me in saying that Thelly really wanted to work with me personally, and what was really important to her was that everyone in the room was female or female identifying, and that we needed to create a safe space for her to be and to create. And it just struck me into a place of like, this is the world I'm actually in. I am the minority as a female director, and I also, within that, have the opportunity to create safe space, to create diversity on set, to slowly infiltrate long systemic, industry ways and break that mold. And it was so beautiful to be able to crew. It was 18 women in the end and 2 guys, beautiful DOP Marcus Crop and the dancer CJ. And it was such a safe space. And I think from then on, it's really just become part of my work practice, tuning in to who's in the room, what are your life experiences, and what are you going to bring to this moment in how we all feel while we're making it. Right off the back of this, I got a song from Meg Mac called Give Me My Name Back. And thematically, it was very much in that same vein. I think of, women holding their voice and her power. And for that, I actually asked Meg, I said, would you like me to just have an all-female cast and crew? And she was so up for it. And we ended up collecting 60 women all together, non-binary folk, in the room, and it just felt amazing. I can clearly remember looking around, feeling everyone's vibration with Meg in the center, and at one point they were all singing her song back to her, and I was like, yeah, this is what the good stuff is made from. And I think, again, sometimes it just flies out the window for me what that end product is, because I'm so connected to this process and this little moment in time where we're all huddled together just trying to make something brilliant. And maybe that moment and that experience then, you know, infiltrates somebody else's life and how they walk out the door and what they take with them. And these two clips definitely have that experience for me. Hey, it's Claudia. Thanks for sticking around with me. We're going to close the night out by playing a bunch more clips that I've made. Ciao, buonanotte, buonasera e dorme bene. Hey, it's Claudia, and it's pretty late, so thanks for sticking around with me here on Rage. Rage, 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 rage.